As a liberal politologist, actually, I'm glad to bring another liberal commentary to my dear views, which actually I owe my fame and glory, and actually would actually appreciate if they actually buy my paintings from oilpaintingsonline.com / Nouridjanian, Nouridjanian. So it would support me somehow, because so far my internet paintings don't sell, and the internet website unfortunately have sometimes the reputation of that sales don't occur nowadays with hard recession hit economy. But the recession been over a long time ago, and I believe that nowadays probably have more chances to sell our work, especially if the prices are low. My prices are real low, and you can buy my paintings, my portraits and landscapes, order your own portraits and landscapes. You can call on my cell phone number 213-448-0093, or give me your story as well as your commentaries, so I would broadcast it on youtube.com. And also call me on my home phone number 323-735-3863. Again, it's 323-735-3863, and leave your message, and I'll pick up your story and your input, your data, and we'll try to bring the coverage or give a political analysis to your story and broadcast it to a multitude of internet viewers. Actually, today I want to cover that misfortunate flight of Polish President, Polish political and religious leaders from Warsaw to Russia. I suspect that actually the crash of a Polish president with the Polish government, senior government officials, is caused by sabotage on part of Russian military aviation dispatches. Actually, right after the crash, eyewitnesses testified on Russian TV that Polish president's plane was careening excessively to the left. Actually, the pilot unfortunately tipped the plane leftwise all the way until the plane hit 8 meters tall. And I believe that this actually was caused either by suicidal pilot, or had been caused by mischievous and sabotaging aviation dispatch at a Russian military airport. Well, actually, Russians have a history of executing Polish warriors, Polish prisoners, military prisoners, who were innocent and never harmed anybody and never murdered anybody in Russia. And I believe that this particular possibility of sabotage on part of Russian military aviation dispatches should be investigated thoroughly by Russian federal officials, federal authorities, because otherwise those offenders will get away. And I don't believe that any plane would actually ever landed, in a careening in a sideways, where all planes land only strictly in a horizontal position, horizontal to the ground. They never careen to one sideways. But this plane started all of a sudden careening sideways to the leftways, and according to eyewitness reports, what I've seen with my own eyes on Russian television, Russian NTV or something, Russian RTV, Russian RTV official television, channel 1. And I also firmly believe that the aviation dispatch should be punished if they allow this to happen, because they should never allow a plane to land in the fog area. And in the second, they should have detected the plane careening to the left, unless they wanted it to careen to the left, and were saboteurs. I remember that my father died in an airplane crash Yerevan Batumi in 1974 as a result of a terrorist act caused by Russian inspector, Minister of Aviation inspector. We actually pay my family only $30 a month until I was 16 years old. And I believe that was a Russian aviation dispatcher. Actually, he seized the steering wheel from a pilot's hand. Because we were flying over Turkish territory, it was Yerevan-Batumi flight 1974, and directed the plane right into the Ararat mountain, where he killed the whole plane away. It was a Yak-40 small civil aviation plane, but I believe it was a terrorist act caused by suicidal terrorist, but the inspector of civil aviation of Russian Ministry of Civil Aviation. So that the chance of Polish president and Polish government's plane was sabotaged by Russian military aviation dispatcher as a result of that Katyn tragedy, with ancestry of Katyn tragedy, ancestry of Russian nationalism, and Russian nationalist government of Vladimir Medvedev promised dagger attacks as well a few weeks ago before that incident. I believe that there is a possibility of adverse terrorist action on part of aviation dispatchers, or suicidal pilot was behind the wheel. There is no other explanation behind it, because it's only caused by human error and human blunder of aviation dispatcher, or blunder on part of Polish presidential pilot, whoever was piloting that plane, made a deadly mistake. Hopefully the federal authorities will establish the truth and won't try to do cover-up, because I definitely would object against cover-up of terrorist acts and sabotage as well. We should be objective and impassionate and discover if there was a chance of a sabotage or not, because the plane don't careen to the left all of a sudden. This cause might be by terrorist attack, or might be caused by 911 bombings. During 911 bombings, the plane was careening to sideways, to the right, before we hit 911 buildings, WTC, World Trade Center buildings in New York City. So I believe that the history began with plane crash of Polish president and Polish government delegation. It actually harkens back to Katyn tragedy of Russian NKVD nationalists executing innocent Polish military prisoners out of hatred towards Catholic, out of hatred towards Poles, and I believe that it was a hate crime. Katyn was a hate crime, and I believe that likelihood of a chance that sabotage of Russian military aviation dispatcher caused this horrible tragedy near Russian military airport.